Confederate flag means something beyond, perhaps completely apart from, racism or its racist history.
This is ESPN's Will Cain.
You boys all cap are more Colin Kaepernick.
And ESPN's Bomani Jones.
In society, we have to be calm enough, rational enough to say, could it be true?
Have you seen ropes like that hanging from garages? Is that typical?
The image that I have and I have seen of what was hanging in my garage is not a garage pool.
Could it be false? Could it be a misunderstanding?
From the evidence that we have, it's a straight up noose.
And we didn't. And because of that, Molly, we undercut everything. We undercut our credibility. And also, I believe we undercut improvement in racial relations.
So much wrong here. But when Bomani Jones called into his show asking what the biggest impediment to race relations are,
human beings, I think we've had this conversation before, Bomani, have trouble seeing each other as individuals.
Can't play it all, but that's the gist of his answer. Then Bomani says,
so let's try this. If I were to ask you in 1865, what is the greatest impediment to race relations in America, what would you have said? Would you have said the whole thing about tribalism and everything else?
No.
Was, in short, Cain's answer.
Really, the impediment to racism is white people not treating black people as being of equal levels of humanity.
Exactly.
But you can't tell people not to overreact when you see what you think is a noose and then justify people overreacting on the back end to the idea that it did not go the way it appeared to have.
Cain rebukes that NASCAR put out a statement that a hate crime was committed and is mad at them for doing so.
You delegitimize what is actually going on in so many people's lives, what we see everywhere, and what we saw before the race. So, like, if we got a real problem with something, NASCAR allowing that flag to be what it was for so long is a much bigger problem than them mishandling this. I don't get the feeling that you was charged up about that.
I am not the one undercutting the idea of people's ability to accept that racism takes place or individual instances. False claims like this undercut that. That is what
Cain then puts himself in a box here.
Let me tell you what empowers those people. Racism is what empowers those people. If this had been real and then the next one is fake, they still gonna jump on the fake one and ignore the real one. And you had fans who are deciding, no, this is our space to do this, and they ride around the track before the race and they fly the banner overhead. And we should applaud NASCAR for the fact that they, for the first time ever, are standing up to those people. Instead, you're gonna say that NASCAR failed by investigating what they believe to be a noose in the garage of the black driver? Come on, man.
Seems cut and dry, right? Nope. Not for Will Cain.
I'm not saying NASCAR failed because they investigated. I'm saying NASCAR failed because they gave an affirmative statement before the investigation. I don't think NASCAR's assumptions and probabilities were fair at all.
Because here's the thing. If they don't put out an affirmative statement, what it fairly looks like in that case is that they are trying to downplay this. What they saw needed to be treated, I think, with the level of urgency that they pursued it with. The only people who seem to be mad about this are people who think that there's something insulting about the idea that maybe, just maybe, after all the history in this country, maybe, just maybe, somebody white did something really ridiculously racist.
Now, what I'm about to play for you all is very important. It's Will Cain's white fragility.
That is such a broad, sweeping indictment of an entire race of people in this country that is
it's a sweeping indictment. It's a sweeping indictment of the history of this country.
Cain goes further with a Republican way of debating, slipping in something false and hoping his opponent doesn't catch it.
When you say the benefit of the doubt, that is something that is earned by individuals, Bo. I want to respond to what you said. I want to make a statement.
You're wrong there.
But Bomani does.
I know you believe that, but in application, white people receive the benefit of the doubt blanketly as a group of people in the face of circumstances that nobody else can ever receive.
Which, if you've been following along, taps into the literal privilege of being white, something Will Cain does not care to see he receives.
The idea that somebody could put a noose in Bubba Wallace's stall, it's not close to being out of the realm of possibility. You seem more bothered by the fact that somebody got this wrong than you were with this display of defiance that took place before the race with the racers trying to assert that NASCAR is theirs.
Cain then gives his last ditch defense.
But I believe that human beings out there that can be won over, that are truly persuadable people. But if you undercut the truth consistently, you take a moment like this and you such cavalier disregard for the truth, what you do is you lose those persuadable people.
And if those people can be dissuaded that easily by that one mistake, they're not nearly as persuadable as you're giving them credit for being.
Cain once again rebukes that the truth is most important. Here's Bomani.
What gets frustrating often, like in hearing you talk about this, is somehow you be the only one that's speaking the truth, right? Like you're the only dude that's everybody else is falling for it, right? Everybody else is out here on some okey doke when it comes to this, but you, seeker of truth in this matter.
Lastly, a tweet I saw that I strongly co-signed when Bomani said to Will Cain, if those people can be dissuaded that easily by that one mistake, they're not nearly as persuadable as you're giving them credit for being. That was the game. If people need you to pitch a perfect game to see injustice, they don't want to see it.